The 1987 United States quarter dollar with the D mint mark is a coin that carries both numismatic and historical importance in American coinage. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin is part of the Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932 to honor the 200th birth anniversary of the nation's first president, George Washington. The 1987 quarter continued the classic design created by sculptor John Flanagan, which had already been in circulation for more than 5 decades by that time. The obverse side of the coin features a left-facing bust of George Washington, with the word Liberty positioned above his head and the national motto, "In God We Trust," inscribed to the left. Below Washington's bust, you will see the year of minting, 1987. On the right-hand side near the base of the neck is the all-important D mint mark, which signifies that the coin was produced in Denver, Colorado. On the reverse side, the 1987 D quarter carries the long-used heraldic eagle design, another symbol of American pride and tradition. The eagle is shown perched on a bundle of arrows with wings outstretched, representing military readiness and national strength, while 2 olive branches beneath the arrows symbolize peace. Above the eagle's head is the phrase, United States of America, while the denomination quarter dollar is placed at the bottom. The phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, appears above the eagle's wings, tying the coin to the broader American motto that reflects unity among diversity. In terms of composition, the 1987 D quarter belongs to the clad coinage era. Unlike earlier silver quarters struck before 1965, these coins were made of a copper-nickel clad composition. That means the outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, while the core is made of pure copper. The coin has a standard weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge, which is the grooved edge you can feel when holding the coin. The clad composition was introduced in the mid-1960s because silver prices had risen significantly, making it no longer cost-effective for the U.S. Mint to produce circulating quarters from silver. The mintage for the 1987 D Washington quarter was quite high. The Denver Mint struck well over 600 million pieces of this coin, making it a very common issue in circulation. Because of this massive production, most examples found today hold little premium above their face value unless they are in exceptional condition. In circulated condition, these coins typically trade for their face value of 25 cents. However, in uncirculated grades, especially those preserved in mint state with little to no contact marks, their value can increase slightly. Collectors often look for coins graded by professional grading services, where higher mint state grades such as MS 65 or MS 67 can fetch more attention from numismatists. One of the most important factors for collectors is condition. Coins from the 1980s, including the 1987 D quarter, often appear with signs of heavy use, scratches, or wear from circulation. But uncirculated rolls or mint sets sometimes yield sharp, brilliant examples with strong strikes and minimal imperfections. Those in pristine quality are what collectors hunt for. Occasionally, error coins or varieties also appear. For example, misstruck coins, off-center strikes, or planchet errors can make a 1987 D quarter worth much more than its standard value. While not commonly encountered, such error coins hold significant value among collectors due to their rarity. Another interesting point about the 1987 quarter is its position in numismatic history. It was issued more than a decade before the 50-state quarters program began in 1999, which completely changed public interest in quarters and coin collecting. Before the state quarters, the Washington quarter had carried essentially the same design since 1932, with only slight modifications over the years. For that reason, the 1987 D quarter is part of what collectors often refer to as the pre-state quarter or classic clad quarter era. These coins may not have the flashy popularity of the state designs, but they remain essential for anyone collecting a complete set of Washington quarters. When evaluating the coin's market performance, the vast supply of the 1987 D makes it a common coin. Still, condition rarity plays a role. For example, coins that grade MS 67 or higher are scarce and can sell for considerably more in auctions. Some top-graded examples have been known to sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on the demand at the time. Proof versions of the 1987 quarter were struck at the San Francisco Mint with the S Mint mark, but those are separate from the Denver issues. Proof coins were made for collectors and usually feature mirror-like fields and frosted devices. In summary, the 1987 D. Washington quarter is a representative coin of its era, mass-produced, clad, and widely circulated, yet it still carries significance as part of the long history of the Washington quarter series. While its everyday value in circulated condition is just 25 cents, it becomes more interesting to collectors when found in pristine mint state grades or with unique errors. Its design pays tribute to American tradition, combining George Washington's image with the heraldic eagle, symbols of leadership, freedom, and national strength. For coin collectors and history enthusiasts alike, it serves as a reminder of the continuity of American coinage leading into the modern era. The 1965 quarter dollar is one of the most historically significant coins in modern American coinage because it marks a turning point in the history of U.S. currency. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But due to the rising price of silver in the early 1960s, the U.S. government faced a serious challenge. People began hoarding silver coins, melting them down for their bullion value, and this created a shortage of coins in circulation. To solve this issue, the Coinage Act of 1965 was passed, and for the first time in U.S. history, the quarter was struck without any silver content. Instead, the 1965 quarter introduced the clad composition, which consisted of a pure copper core sandwiched between two outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This change made the coins more durable, less expensive to produce, and ensured that silver could be reserved for other economic uses. The design of the 1965 quarter remained the same as earlier Washington quarters. On the obverse, we see the familiar portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, facing left. This portrait was originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. Around the portrait, the inscriptions include the word liberty above Washington's head, the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the date 1965 at the bottom. On the reverse side, the coin carries the classic heraldic eagle design. The eagle is perched on a bundle of arrows with two olive branches underneath, symbolizing both military strength and the desire for peace. Above the eagle, the words United States of America appear, along with the motto, E pluribus unum, out of many one. And at the bottom, we see the denomination quarter dollar. One important detail about the 1965 quarter is that it was struck without any mint mark. In fact, from 1965 until 1967, the U.S. Mint decided to remove mint marks from all coins. The reason behind this was to discourage collectors from hoarding large numbers of coins based on where they were minted, which was one of the causes of the coin shortage in the early 1960s. This means that all 1965 quarters look the same, whether they were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Unlike other years where a small letter, DS, etc., indicates the minting facility, the 1965 quarter carries no such identification. In terms of mintage, the 1965 quarter was produced in enormous quantities. To quickly replenish the circulation and ensure people had enough coins for daily transactions, the mint struck more than 1.8 billion quarters in 1965 alone. This massive production makes the 1965 quarter one of the most common U.S. coins ever minted, which is why most examples today are worth only their face value of 25 cents in circulated condition. Millions of these coins are still in circulation, and you can easily find them in pocket change. However, collectors pay attention to certain special varieties of the 1965 quarter that make them stand out. The most famous is the 1965 silver era quarter. When the mint was transitioning from silver to clad composition, a small number of 90% silver planchets, coin blanks, intended for 1,964 quarters accidentally got struck with the 1965 date. These era coins are extremely rare and valuable today, often selling for thousands of dollars depending on their condition. A genuine 1965 silver quarter can be identified by weighing it. A standard clad 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver one weighs around 6.25 grams. This weight difference is the most reliable way to test if you have a silver era coin. Beyond the silver era, collectors also seek out high-grade uncirculated 1965 quarters, particularly those that were never used in commerce and have retained their original luster. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify these coins, and some can be worth hundreds of dollars if they are in superb condition with strong strikes and minimal marks. Additionally, coins with special errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or clipped planchets can command premium prices among numismatists. From a historical perspective, the 1965 quarter represents not just a change in metal composition, but also a reflection of the broader economic challenges of the 1960s. Inflation, rising metal costs, and the demand for a more efficient coinage system forced the U.S. government to innovate. By moving away from silver, the mint secured the future of coin production and set the stage for all modern coins, since dimes, quarters, and half dollars struck after 1965 no longer contained silver for circulation use. This decision was controversial at the time, as many people preferred the older silver coins, but it proved to be a necessary step for the stability of the economy. Even today, the 1965 quarter remains a fascinating piece for collectors and historians. While most are common and worth only face value, the coin tells a powerful story about America's transition from traditional silver coinage to modern clad designs. It also reminds us of how economic pressures can directly impact the money we use every day. For those who enjoy searching through rolls of quarters from the bank or examining pocket change, the 1965 issue is always worth checking, just in case a silver era coin is hiding in plain sight. In conclusion, the 1965 quarter dollar of the United States of America may look like an ordinary coin at first glance, but it holds an important place in numismatic history. With its iconic Washington portrait, symbolic eagle reverse, lack of mint mark, and groundbreaking clad composition, it stands as the beginning of a new era in American coinage. For everyday people, it served as a practical piece of money. For collectors, it represents both a challenge and an opportunity, especially if one is lucky enough to find a silver error or a pristine uncirculated example. Its story is not just about metal and design, but about how a nation adapted to economic realities while preserving the symbols and traditions that connect citizens to their history. Another fascinating aspect of the 1965 quarter is the cultural impact it had on the American public. When people first received these new clad quarters in their change, many noticed the difference in color and sound compared to the older silver quarters. Silver coins had a distinct ringing tone when dropped on a hard surface, while the new copper-nickel clad quarters produced a duller, less musical sound. For years, ordinary citizens complained that the new coins looked cheap or fake, but over time they became accustomed to them as silver coins slowly disappeared from circulation. This change also led to a new hobby for many people, searching their pocket change for silver coins before they vanished completely. Even today, some treasure hunters still search old rolls of coins in hopes of finding those last remaining silver quarters mixed in with clad ones. The 1965 quarter also serves as an educational tool for those studying economics and coinage history. Teachers often use it as an example to show how a government can respond to inflation and resource shortages. By switching from silver to copper-nickel, the U.S. saved millions of ounces of silver that would have otherwise been locked away in everyday transactions. This metal could then be used for industry, jewelry, and international trade. It also demonstrates the way ordinary objects like coins are directly influenced by global market forces. What might seem like a simple quarter in your hand is actually the result of complex economic decisions and legislation. Another point worth discussing is how the 1965 quarter started a uniform standard that continues to this day. If you look at modern quarters in your pocket, they are still made with the same copper-nickel clad composition introduced in 1965. The weight, diameter, and thickness have remained consistent for decades, which allows vending machines, coin counters, and automated systems to easily recognize them. In this sense, the 1965 quarter laid the groundwork for modern commerce in America. Without this change, the country might have faced constant shortages and disruptions in everyday transactions. Collectors also often debate whether the 1965 quarter should be considered rare. The answer is both yes and no. On one hand, the majority of 1965 quarters are extremely common, with billions minted. On the other hand, the silver errors and high-grade examples are genuinely rare and highly sought after. For example, auction records show that some 1965 quarters graded MS-67 or higher have sold for several $1,000s because of their pristine condition. The silver transitional errors, depending on their quality, have been known to reach prices over $10,000 in major numismatic auctions. This duality makes the 1965 quarter exciting. It can be both a worthless coin in change and a priceless treasure in the right circumstances. The coin also marked the beginning of a long series of changes in U.S. coinage. After the success of the clad quarter, the mint applied the same metal composition to the dime and eventually the half-dollar. By 1971, even the dollar coin had switched to a clad composition for circulation. So, in many ways, the 1965 quarter was the test case that proved the practicality of removing silver from coins. It reassured the public that coins could still function as trusted money even if they lacked precious metals. This was a critical step toward the modern era, where the value of coins is based on government trust rather than intrinsic metal content. For those who enjoy numismatics as a hobby, the 1965 quarter offers multiple opportunities for research and collecting. Beginners often start by simply saving one in their collection as a historical piece, while advanced collectors look for die varieties, mint errors, and high-grade submissions to grading services. It's also common for educators and coin clubs to use the 1965 quarter as a teaching piece when explaining the shift from silver to clad coinage. Its abundance makes it accessible to everyone, while its rare variations provide challenges even for experts. From a symbolic perspective, the coin also reflects resilience and adaptation. America in the mid-1960s was a nation facing major changes, politically, socially, and economically. Just as the country was adapting to new global roles and internal shifts, its money too was evolving. The 1965 quarter is, in that sense, a small but powerful reminder that even the coins in our pockets can serve as silent witnesses to history. In summary, the 1965 United States quarter dollar is not just a 25-cent piece. It is a landmark in American monetary history, the start of a new era in coinage, and a fascinating collectible that bridges the gap between everyday change and numismatic treasure. Whether you see it as a common coin, a teaching tool, a collectible, or a symbol of economic change, the 1965 quarter remains one of the most important issues of the 20th century.